Oh my god. Eating all those popcorners. That feels real good after a leg day. Anyways, Battlefield 6. This is the next installment in a franchise that had many foaming at the mouth for a return to form game. Why? Well, look no further than its most recent installment, Battlefield 2042, which was, for all intents purposes, a complete disappointment and fell flat when compared to other entries in the series. So, did the 4-year break turn out?
Oh my god, I'm nasty. I just hit a
Fuck you and your teammates, buddy! Woo! Fuck you! Well, shit. They got me to play it. See, for me, when I think games to buy, the shooter genre falls to the very bottom. I do not play these games. I do not watch these games. In fact, this is by all means my first fully purchased Battlefield game. Prior to this, I've only played a few betas and a bit of Battlefield 1 at a buddy's house. And outside of Battlefield, the only other shooter game I've really played before is Call of Duty. But I quickly realized in my adolescent years that I fucking hate Call of Duty. I haven't purchased a COD in over a decade. Not only do I find its lack of innovation, its continued laziness and creativity to have hit unexpected lows, but the genre itself just isn't for me. That's why I gravitate towards games like Souls-likes, Destiny, RPGs, or if anyone remembers the old days, you know, when it was Call of Duty versus Halo. Bro, I was meat right in Halo. So why the hell did I just say all that? With all that said, even knowing my tastes gravitate away from this game, the beta won me over. I was having so much damn fun with my buddies and played it for hours on end. I instantly knew I had to purchase this, and the potential for an engaging shooter that differed from the only game I compared it to was exciting, and I was ready to play it on release. So let's talk about it. Okay, let's kickstart this by ripping off the obvious shit stain that no one is purchasing this for, the campaign, which is a pretty meh experience. It can be enjoyable if you want to run some Battlefield related content and just turn your brain off. The developers did tie some collectibles to it, which reward a bundle of different items, all of which mostly being cosmetic related, and I won't go over the story. I'm sure you can imagine that because this isn't the main selling point for Battlefield 6, that there wasn't heaps of effort put into this. Sorry, However, if you do decide to jump into this for the collectibles or just to see what it's like, it may run you anywhere between 5 to 6 hours to complete, but that's all dependent on your playstyle. One final side note, I do want to give some credit that they actually did try with this campaign. Okay, this isn't where they told a story in the same multiplayer maps. They actually made fresh sets for the missions for you to play in, and I appreciate that. You know, some games these days just get lazy and reuse a ton of shit, but they didn't here. So with that being said, let's move on to multiplayer, which is the creme de la creme of this game. This is Battlefield. This is what I know it for. This is what you know it as. This is what we played in the beta. It's what we're here to discuss. So let's talk about it. Off rip. When you first go to the multiplayer section, you are met with a nice variety of game modes to click on and squares that just edge you on. The only two you'll be clicking though are Conquest and Breakthrough, and maybe the community server stuff, but we'll talk about that later. And before jumping into that, let's pump the brakes and look at our loadouts first. So, outside looking in, you will see the standard 4 classes, all equipped with a good variety of starter weapons, gadgets, and utility. And yeah, at this point, when you boot up the game, you can go straight into your first match at level 1 with a good variety of weapons to start with and not feel like you're getting diffed completely. But then boom, you're off. So, what are those first few matches like? Oh, my dear friend, in those first couple of hours, you will experience the most cinematic shit of your life. Jets, tanks, helicopters, machine guns, all with fantastic sound design, environmental destruction that will instantly immerse you in a realistic war zone, and plenty of teammates and enemies to make it feel like you are in a lively, well-filled and played-in space with multiple mini battles going on at any given space in the map. All in all, the multiplayer experience of this game is satisfying. It is an adrenaline-producing rush that will get you feeling like this. Oh!
I'm coming. Where is he?
Like, he's on my body. He's about to touch me in my... Oh, there's one on my court. Oh, holy shit, I just saw that. Holy fuck.
Holy fuck.
Oh my mother of God. Where are you guys?
Going to E.
Oh.
Not to E.
Wait.
To A. The fuck are you doing?
Oh,
Oh my god, bro, we're going down.
Okay, not that downwards.
We
Not
are
that
going
downwards. Not that
down, bro.
downwards.
Oh, what?
Oh, wait.
Oh.
Oh,
No way.
you guys want to get
Are
back
you
in?
serious?
The experience is just so damn addicting. The gunplay and the unique feeling between each individual gun feels diverse and well tested. They nailed it. The enjoyment of testing different weapons and the fluidity of gameplay is the aspect that personally makes me log on and want to play more. And just to add some more icing on the sandbox cake, I'm happy to say that for me, there's no weapons or class combination that I found excessively annoying to play against. Now, sure, I could nitpick about a few things like flashlights on shotguns, but all in all, it is a balanced and fair game. All right, with that being said, outside of gameplay, the rest of the multiplayer package has some serious problems, and only now am I seeing people talk about them. I think the rose-colored glasses are starting to come off a bit. The maps, for example, simply put, there's just not enough variation, and I want to key in on that word variation, because at launch, there's 9 maps total, which in itself sounds like a low number, but the actual problem is the setting of these maps. When looking at the roster, I can instantly see that 5 of the 9 maps take place in a clustered city, and after all of my playtime, they just start to blend together. I mean, seriously, look at EA's own page. Look at Manhattan Bridge versus Empire State, or Saints Quarter versus Iberian Offensive. I consistently feel like I'm getting the same maps over and over, and I'm already getting tired of the rotation only 2 weeks after release. Not to mention the size of the maps. Now, granted, I haven't really played the previous Battlefield, so I don't have a good comparison, but I can't log on without one of my friends complaining about the lack of larger maps. Even this big one, Morocco Valley, which I know is a lot of people's favorites. For me, it's completely fucking boring, but apparently this map isn't even big. But I can get past the lack of map variation as the gameplay is very engaging and addicting. What I can't look over is the absolutely piss poor progression. Oh, geez. Where to start? Well, let's start with the weapons, as that's key to the shooter genre experience. Each weapon has its own dedicated weapon mastery system, which basically means you need to use the gun, to level the gun, to get attachments for the gun. Makes sense, it's been done before, but holy grind time, I am about 25 hours in, and I only have a handful of weapons that are at or above mastery level 20, and that matters because it is directly tied to getting attachments or getting camos, and when you want to use a new gun, it can be off-putting to look at it and be like, well, I gotta go sink in 5+ whatever hours to get this thing partially decked out. And keep in mind, there are a lot of weapons to choose from. Now, I did want to mention that this may be more of an issue on my end. I believe the outlook on this will be very player-to-player dependent, but for me, as someone who isn't going to make this their new main game, I don't really feel rewarded for my time, and I don't feel encouraged to try new weapons with the current progression system. And speaking of rewards, let's talk about the hands-down worst aspect of this game: the challenges and cosmetics. Let's start on the challenges side. Simply put, they're annoying, and the devs put some very important stuff behind them. For example, each class has challenges that are tied directly to different gadgets that have huge impacts on gameplay, and almost all of them are annoying to get. If you're someone who's playing for fun or doesn't pay attention to these, I guarantee you'll never unlock key gadgets for your class or even a handful of weapons, because yes, even weapons are tied behind challenges. Now, what about cosmetics? What are the weapon and character camos like? Well, this is probably where opinions are going to differ drastically, but while there are a handful of decent looking weapon skins, the vast majority, like 90% of the available camos, are boring. They're uninspired, they're grindy and flat. They are just unbelievably basic to look at. Now, I already hear people saying, well, they look like that because Battlefield is supposed to be a realistic game. Sure, dude, I hear you loud and clear, and I know that's what the developers were going for. However, the way I see it is, when everything looks so similar, then nothing stands out. I mean, I've seen multiple Instagram reels showing off weapon mastery level 40 camos, some of the most grind heavy camos in this game. Then I go to the comments just to see the most liked comments say stuff like, did the camo even enter the room? Is it even on the gun? I mean, half these camos are barely noticeable, and that's extremely disappointing for me because I'm a player that likes chasing those hard to get cosmetics. It's the one thing that COD did right. But if they look ass, then I won't bother. Anyways, the final thing I want to talk about is the community map driven, basically Forge mode that Battlefield 6 has introduced. This is an insanely cool concept. I've already seen a map for Only Up, but in Battlefield, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what creative modes people make. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to say on it now. It's too early to judge. There's a few fun ones with a couple of gimmicks, but most of the maps right now are just bot lobbies, XP farms, or learning how to fly 101. I think in a few weeks' time, once the community gets to work, we could see some seriously fun game modes and maps. And if done right, I can definitely see myself sinking a lot of time into this section of the game. All right, I think we've been through almost every aspect of the game, minus performance. A note on that, the game is extremely well optimized. It ran fantastic on my 5080, it ran fantastic on my friend's 4070, and it ran good on my buddy's 3060 Ti. I've had zero meaningful or impactful bugs, and I'm very pleased to say that, because I remember hearing horror stories about previous Battlefield launches, so I'm happy they stuck the landing with this one. Anyways, drumroll. Do I think you should get Battlefield 6? Ironically, I just changed this section of the review before recording, because when this game released in, week 1, I told a lot of my buddies to get it. Then when week 2 rolled around and people asked me the same question, I actually told people not to. I gotta be honest, $70 is a steep price for a game that, to me, lacks a lot of supporting factors. I just, like, it could very well be my taste in games speaking through me right now, right? Calling back to what I said earlier about the genres that I gravitate towards and away from. But, God, I don't know. I just don't find this game to be as enjoyable as it was on week 1. I don't want to say the word stale, but unfortunately, it's the first word that comes to mind. Maybe being repetitive is better. I don't know. It has fantastic gameplay. It's well made. It's great to play with friends, but I don't know how often I'll be playing this game in ETA 4 weeks. Like, the maps are already getting boring, and I don't know, maybe I'm just being a dick, right? Let me know in the comments. But with that being said, thank you for watching. This is my first formal review. No way, I just tongue twisted that. Anyways, I'd love some feedback on how I did, and if you liked it, please subscribe, because I really like doing this. So, see you next week.